Hi, my name is Johnny Buziang from Group 1. I will explain briefly about the definition of leadership. Leadership, based on my understanding, can be differentiated to 5 types, which is process, individual ability, individual behavior, create value, and innovation. As we know that leadership has the same purpose, which is achieve the goals. The first one is process. Leadership is the process to giving purpose to a group so people are willing to contribute and achieve the goals. Second is individual ability. Leadership is the ability of an individual to influence or motivate others to contribute for organization. The third one is individual behavior. Leadership is a behavior of an individual to lead the group so they can achieve the same goals. The fourth one is create value. Leadership is speak vision, values, and creating the environment within which the goal can be achieved. The last one is innovation. Leadership is the ability to step outside the culture to start the evolution or innovation and change to be more adaptive. That's all for me. Thank you.
Most definitions of leadership reflect the assumption that it involves a process whereby international influence is exerted over other people to guide, structure, and facilitate activity and relationship in a group or organization. But it may be a controversy over leadership definition, that is, specialized role, type of process, purpose of attempt, influence based on reason or emotion, direct and indirect leadership, leadership vs management. Definition of leadership. Leadership is defined broadly in a way that takes into account several things that determine the success of a collective effort by members of a group or organization to accomplish meaningful tasks. The definition includes effort not only to influence and facilitate the current work of a group or organization, but also to ensure that it is prepared to meet future challenge. Both direct and indirect form of influence are included. In this slide, what you can see what leader can influence is choice of objective and strategy, motivation member, mutual trust, coordinate of work activity, develop of member skill, share their belief, design a program, and sharing of their knowledge. Indicator of leadership effectiveness shows how inspiring vision and training to our followers that can give a better quality and productivity for our company. The most common method is the use of survey research with questionnaire filled out by the leader themselves or by subordinate. Another type of study use user description of leader action and the decision obtained from observation. Lastly, the use of experiment in which the research assess the effect of different pattern of leader behavior on group process and outcome.
Now, let's move on to the major perspective in leadership theories. There are three major perspectives which are the characteristic of leaders, followers, and situation. As a leader, you will need to have confidence, personality trait, which is a leader that impact on how they think, how they feel, and how they behave on an ongoing basis. Besides that, a leader that are integrity and able to develop a good moral will be able to influence their followers. Moving on to the next perspective, with a follower. For sure that every leader wants to have a follower that can understand what they want and what they need. And of course, the leader wants a followers that is confident in doing their task. Besides that, the follower should have a good skills and expertise in order to understand and done the thing that the leader wants. And now let us look at the characteristic of situation. Situation is a factor that will affect the leadership process. Therefore, the leader will solve the problem according to the type and size of the organizational unit. As it was mentioned earlier, the situation will be obstacle for the leader to do their job. The situation include the environmental uncertainties and change so that the leader will have a characteristic which is flexible to solve any problem without panic. Next is the causal relationship among the primary types of leadership variables. First, a trained and skillful leader will develop a good behavior. This kind of leader, they will give a good influence in order to develop a good attitude and good behavior follower. And from that, it will give a good performance outcome. But not everything will go on smoothly. Same go with this. there will be some external thing that will block the way of the leaders to develop a good performance outcome. That's all from me. Thank you.
4 perspectives in leadership theory and research. First point is trait approach. Trait approach is the way of studying personality that places emphasis on the trait of individual as marker of personality. Second point is behavior approach. This approach is to psychology that focus on how one environment and how external stimuli affect on a person's mental state and development. Last point is situational approach. This situational approach suggests that any individual has the potential, given favorable present environmental circumstances, to commit a crime regardless of their psychological disposition. 4 levels of conceptualization. First point is diadic process. Focus on the relationship between a leader and another individual who is usually a follower. Second point is intra-individual process. Most of definition of leadership involve the influence processes between individuals. Last point is group process. Theory of the group effectiveness provide insight about leadership processes and relevant criteria for evaluating leadership effectiveness.
Hello, I am Ahmed. Intra-individual theories. For example, how leaders make decisions, how leaders manage their time, how leader can use self-development techniques. Dyadic theory. For example, how leader interpret information about a subordinate. How leader influences a follower to identify with the leader. Group level theories. For example, how leadership the shared in the group or team. How leadership influences the shared mental models of team members. Organization level theories. For example, how leaders influences organization culture. How conflict among leaders result in organization.
Hi, my name is Li Jimin. I'm going to talk about other bases for comparing leadership theories. The first theory is leader-centered versus follower-centered theory. This theory is focused on either the leader or follower is another useful way to classify leadership theories. Most of the leadership theory emphasize the characteristic and action of the leader without much concern for follower characteristic. Only a small amount of research and theory has emphasized follower characteristic. Then the second theory is descriptive versus prescriptive theory. Descriptive theory explains leadership process and describe the typical activity of leader and explain why certain behaviors occurs in particular situation. Meanwhile, the prescriptive theory specifies what leader must do to become effective, and they identify any necessary condition for using a particular type of behavior effectively. The last theory is universal versus contingency theories. This theory describes some aspects of leadership that apply to all types of situations, and the theory can be either descriptive or prescriptive. The distinction between universal and contingency theory is a matter of degree, not a sharp dichotomy. In conclusion, leadership has been defined in many different ways, but most definitions share the assumption that it involves an influence process for facilitating the performance of a collective task. When evaluating leadership effectiveness, multiple criteria should be considered to deal with different stakeholders' preferences. The various methods of have limitations, and a multi-method approach is more likely to yield accurate results. That's all for our presentation for topic Nature of Leadership. Thank you.